Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I welcome us to today's session. Uh, in the usual practice of the ministry, when an assignment is being released, it is important that members of the public are sensitized on the expectation requires in ensuring a smooth registration. And so, going forward in this year, this session is being co-hosted by myself, Adisa Thompson by name, Mr. Egberombi. Mr. Egberombi will be putting us through the processes at ensuring that smooth registration for 2025 BECE examination is achieved at our respective end. We had last year registration, and this session, registration for this year is also taking another dimension. I will implore every one of us to sit back, pay rapt attention, follow the processes that will be relayed to us, and equally note that this session is being recorded and will be available on our YouTube page. You can equally follow us on all our social media handles. We have our social media platforms: Instagram, OGSERA Digital, LinkedIn, X formerly known as Twitter, as well as Facebook. To search us, search OGSERA. This session will equally be entertaining questions. If you have any questions, get your questions ready. And at the end of the session, we do justice to your questions. You can equally be passing your question through the chat box, and this will be duly addressed. Once again, I welcome everyone for today's session. Short while, we'll be having the session proper. Thank you.
3 BECE 2020. I want to appreciate our anchor man, Mr. Adisa, for this great job. At the same time, giving the kudos to our Honorable Commissioner that we used to call Baba OGSERA for his brilliant performance in taking education to another level in Ogun State. Without forgetting our Mama Oloko, who has 100% in support of our commissioner program to make sure that education sector in Ogun State is none to be compared with. This year, it is necessary for us to explain to us the procedures that the BECE examination is going to take so that we have a seamless and an itch-free examination period. As we used to know, every time things changes because human beings are dynamics in nature. We are not just static. So we have introduced a new procedures that will enable us to be able to have a successful BECE 2025. So based on this, that's why this webinar is being organized in order to acquaint us with all those steps so that while we are doing it, we can also be monitoring what we are doing. First of all, I would like to let us know that this year BECE is starting today. The registration is starting today, 3rd of March, and our normal registration will end by 25th of April 2025. And due to some minor issues that schools might have, we are giving a grace of 1 week, which is from 26th to 2nd of May for late registration. So going into the details proper now, as we all know that everything that we're going to do is going to be done under OGSERA. And the platform that we use is the diaper, as we all know. And each school has its own login details. So the first thing that you will do is to make sure that you log into your school portal. So when you get into your school portal, at the end of the program, we are going to display the procedure so that we can be seeing it anytime maybe we get lost and want to know what to do. So when you are at your portal, you will see one green 4 line by the left side. When you click on it, you are going to see a drop down menu, and that drop down menu, you go to unified. When you get to unified, you see BECE. So when you click on BECE, you also see another drop down, and from there you will click on application. So the application will take you to the next view where you want to do registration for BECE. So at the top of that application, you will click on application, create application. There is a button on top that is titled create application. So when you click on create application, it will give you another platform where you will see that you need to import your candidates. So at that place, already all your candidates that are qualified to write BECE are already on your JSS3 in your various school portal. So when you click on that import the minimum that you can enter that can allow a student to be able to take part in BECE is 9 subjects. If it's not up to 9 subjects, it will not allow registration for that candidate. So you are going to make sure that you input all the continual assessment for all the courses, minimum of 9 for each candidate and maximum of 13. So when you finish putting in their continuous assessment after downloading, you will save it. While you are saving it, you are not changing the name. Just save it as the name that you used to download it. So after saving it, the next thing for you to do is now to upload the imputed CAS that you have made. Now, when you upload, you just click upload by the left hand corner of your application face. So when you click on upload, it will now ask you where you save that template. You will now upload the template. When you upload it, you will have a message at the top of the screen: upload successful. So after you have uploaded it, you will now go to the application phase where they wrote uploaded CAS. You will see that it is 0 that is there before. It must have changed to the number of subjects that you enter for each of the candidates. Remember, the minimum is 9. If it is not up to 9, there will be a message at the right side of each candidate that the CAS has not been completed. So we put in that there so that there will not be issue of I've entered my CAS, I didn't see it. So after you have describing for private school now, I'll go back for the public school next. So after you have entered your continuous assessment, you will now have to go and make payments. It is payments we used to make before, but now you have to do your CAS before payments. So at the left hand side of each of the names of those candidates, there is a box there. So you will tick the box of the student that you want to make your payment for. So when you click it, at the up side of the right hand, you will see BECE platform fee. That is 500 naira per candidate. You will have to pay the BECE platform fee first. So after making that payment, when you click make payment, it will take you to the platform where you are going to make the payment. After making the payment, it will be written at BECE platform fee, it will write paid. So that means after you have paid for those candidates, you can now go and pay for the application fee, which is 7,500 naira. But remember, as private school, any candidate that you are not ready to pay the BECE fee for, you will need to delete them on your application portal, application phase here, before you can make the BECE payment. If you didn't do that, it will not allow you to make that payment. So after you have made that payment now successfully, that is when you will now go and click on BECE examination code. You will press generate BECE code. So after you have clicked on generate BECE code, that is when you have completed your application process. If you did not click on that generate BECE code, you have just made your payments. At the back end here, we will not be able to see those candidates. So it is very important, after you made your payment, make sure you click on BECE code generator. so that those codes that we are going to use to generate their OMR sheet here, we are hammering this so that there will be no issues of I didn't get OMR sheet or I get wrong OMR sheets. So if you have not done all these processes, you have not complete your registration. That is for private school that is going to make payments. But for public school, the procedures is the same. The only difference is that there is no payment. But you have to do your continuous assessment first. Then you will have to go and click on generate BECE code. At the right hand side, you will see a place that is written 00. When you import your candidates, that registration registered will change to the number of candidates that you have in your school. But when you complete your payments for private, or when you have complete your registration in public, the second is 0, which is that one that it is written CAS, will now turn to the number of actual students that is going to take part in that examination. So your register is only telling us these are the candidates I am presenting. Why that CAS is telling us the number of candidates that you want that should take part in that examination. So by yourself, you should have known that, okay, I have 100. Telling us here at the back end that it is only 60 candidates that you presented for the examination. So the determining factor of how many candidates OMR that is going to be sent to your school is just those numbers that display under CAS. So aside from that, you don't have any other candidate that we recognize at the back end here. So that one will now complete the process of the registration. Let me quickly do the recap of what I've just said. The first thing is to log in into OGSERA or DIPA, as the case may apply. After you have done that, you will now go and click on Unified. After clicking on Unified, you will go and click on BECE. At that BECE, you will now go ahead again and click on Application. So when you click on that application, you will now see at the left side, Create Application. So that one is now telling us that, okay, I am ready to enroll my GSS 3 students for BECE 2025. So when you have created that application, you will import your candidates. That means import JSS 3 students. After you have imported them, you will see they will be displayed under basic info. All their names is going to be displayed under that basic info. So at the left side, the number of candidates that you imported will be under registered. So if you have 10 learners in JSS 3, that register will display 10 for you. But if your candidate that you know are in your class, if they are 40 and you are seeing 30 here, you should know that that is simply telling you that all the remaining 30 students are not in your GSS 3. It is only those that are in your GSS 3 this second term that is going to be imported to that registered part. So after you have done that, you will now go and download the CAS templates. This is the CAS template. When you download the CAS templates, you will now have to enter their continual assessment for each of the candidates in English, maths, and all other subjects that you offer in your school. But the minimum is 9 and the maximum is 13. So it is the BECE subject that you are going to see on that template this year, not like that was there last week. So these are the ones that are being taken in BECE that you are going to see this year. So your CA1, as we all know, maximum is 5. And the CA2, as we all know, maximum is 12.5. And the CA3 is 12.5, all totaling to 30 marks. So your continual assessment is 30 marks, while the real examination is 70 marks. So as you have downloaded it, you will save it into your system. Then you will now go and click on upload, which is the yellow color under your application display. When you click on that one, it will now ask you where you save that download CAS template. You will now click on it and upload it. When you upload it, the columns that is meant for uploaded CAS subject will now change to the number of subjects you uploaded for each of the candidates. The procedures I said up till this point is for both public and private. Now, for the private that are going to make payments, after you have done the continuous assessment, you will now go at the left hand side of that basic information. You will now click the candidate that you want to make payment for, because there is the privilege for you to pay 2, 3, 4, or 5 times for the candidates you wish to pay for. So when you click on it, the first payment that you are going to make is the one for platform fee, which is 500 naira. When you click on make payment, it will take you to the platform where you are going to make your transfer for that payment. Immediately you make that payment, it will be written at the column that is made for platform fee. It will be displayed paid. So after you have made that payment, that is when you can now have the opportunity to go and pay for BECE fee. If you have not paid for the platform fee, there is no way you can pay the BECE fee. So when you are now ready to pay for your BECE fee, you will now go to the left side of that basic information again and tick those that you want to pay for. But the difference in this one is, if your candidate is 10 and you want to pay for just 5 candidates, you will need to delete, you will need to remove the remaining candidate before it can allow you to make that BECE payment. How do you do that? You will go to the extreme right. There is a small box there. You will click on it. It will display remove students. You just click on that remove and it will remove them. But don't be panic. They are still under your GS3. Whenever you want to pay for them, you will go and import them again as you have done in the first time. So after you have now made your payments, you have not complete your registration yet until you generate BECE code. We used to generate BECE code before payment before, but now you need to make your payment before you generate the BECE code. So when you are now you've generated your BECE code, it will be displayed at the column where BECE code is written. Then you have complete your registration. The next thing is just for you to be ready for the examination. But for the public that are not paying, after you have done the CAS, you will now go ahead and generate the BECE code. That is when you have completed your registration. Incomplete registration will cause an issue. All where you are seeing red like this, apart from your LIN, all other red must turn to green. If any other one is red, that means you have not complete your registration. I think we all get this little description for 2025 BECE. It's so simple if you go by the rule. And at the end, for your own confirmation, where this CAS is, you know it is 0 now. When you complete the registration, it will change to the number of candidates that their registration is okay. You might have 200 in the registered and you might have 30 in the CAS. It's telling you that you have only successfully registered 30 students. And if that is not what you are planning to do, please revisit the registration process. Thank you as we await your question.
Thank you very much, sir, Mr. Iberumi. It has been a wonderful session putting us through the revealed process of BECE registration in the state. He has been able to give us the detailed procedure on the registration process. From what he has said, I want to admonish us to please watch over the video again if there are areas that are not clear to us. And from past experience, I want to advise that and equally reiterate that the payment being made on the portal, we have two payments to be made, two categories of payments. The first is platform fee, while the second is the BECE fee. Platform fee is the first payment to be made, and this affords the student to be able to get access to pay for the BECE fee. And the platform fee is to be paid into the Globus account. The system has been structured to detail this to us, but from past experience, we've had cases whereby SPA pay the amount meant to be paid into the government account into the platform fee account. The two accounts are two distinct accounts, and as such, the payment should be made into the designated amount. The 500 naira is to be paid into the platform fee account, the Globus Bank. The 7,500 naira, which is the BECE fee, is to be paid into the government account, which is the Wema Bank account that the system will generate for us. So we attend to our questions. We'll be having questions quickly. And in the course of his presentation, it made mention of the analysis we have on the page, where we have number of registered and the number of cars. This review was done to avert cases whereby students will be having missing OMR. And as such, with this reviewed process, such will greatly ameliorated. Such cannot exist anywhere again as far as 2025 registration is concerned. And now that the registration has commenced, our public schools can now proceed to register as well as our private schools. However, private schools will notice that their page is telling them not eligible. This is a measure being put to place to ensure that only eligible schools are taking part in the registration. We have schools who have not had BECE recognition and schools that have not even paid their renewal fee. So this exercise is being conducted as we speak at the zonal office. What we need to do is to communicate your renewal fee for the current session as well as an evidence of your recognition, evidence of your BECE recognition. Communicate this to the zonal office, and when it's in return get to the headquarter, your school will be given access to proceed the registration. So with that, that attends to questions on my school is not eligible. So we'll be attending to our questions. Okay, Afolake Michael, please, what can we do to a student in attendance register on OGSERA in first term, but couldn't found his name in second term? Solution, please. Well, if you're having a student that reflected at your first term page and is not visible at the second term, probably such students had record of transfer out of the school, or the learner's former school register such a student to their portal. What we need to do is to communicate such to us and to be affected. Before now, you make use of add to class button to address such, but this is being abused and the button has been withdrawn. So to address that, communicate that to us and it will be fixed. And such a student will reflect in the second term. Please re-explain from import candidates for private. Rainy Star, we've addressed that twice. I will advise you watch over the video again. The video is available on the YouTube page. Watch over the video, and equally the link, the JIT box detailed the processes on the registration. Go over the JIT box. It has details of all the processes. Thank you, Rainy Star. Father Bukoda, I click on create application, but it's showing admission closed. That was before the registration was opened. It is now open. It was intentionally closed for us to get the processes in detailed. Now that we've relayed the process is now open and you can proceed your registration. Thank you, Father Bukoda. Well, Mr. Alamide Taiwo, I saw your question. As a public school or a private schools, note that the number of subjects expected is minimum of 9 subjects and maximum of 13. Thank you. So students Having lesser subjects will not be certified for the examination. Adetola Adebanjo, my portal, I think I've addressed this. When your portal is saying not eligible, communicate your record to the zonal office, and ZDU is already compiling this record. Please, how do we upload passport photograph for those whose pictures are not showing? On the Becker page, on the Becker page, where you have the details of all the students, against each student, there's a button there. That's where there you have option to remove a student, remove, upload passport. So with the upload and clear score, yes, we also have clear CAS score where a CAS was uploaded in error. So with that, you can upload the passport of such a student. You make use of that provision. Thank you. Ajibola Wuraola. Samuel Ajesu, how do we edit names before proceeding to register? Well, a student who is to register for the Becker examination is expected to have LIN, and LIN add a exact record of that student. So to make any correction to such learners information, do this making use of data updates. You correct such a record through data updates. Thank you. Raining Star School. Can I add students for Becker and get the LIN? Well, as we speak, LIN request is closed for the session, and students who are bona fide students of your school are expected to have had LIN prior before now. LIN is not issued for the purpose of examination, and this examination is meant for students who have been in your school, who already have LIN in your school. Thank you. Is public school are to pay 500 for registration for my education shoulder? Well, public schools are equally to pay 500 naira for platform fee. And note that the platform fee affords learner to check their results at the end of the examination when the result is released. However, for public schools, the learner will be paying their 500 naira when the examination result is released, while private schools are paying theirs at the commencement of the registration. So government is shouldering the payment, government is paying for public school learners, and that is in fulfillment of the free education policy of the state government. So the state government is paying for the Becker fee of the learners in public school. While to assess the results, the learner will be paying on their own for the platform fee when the result is released. Thank you. Ayodele Shola. Adeyemo Taiwo, please, I want to know if one correct mistake in names before or after CAS. Well, your question is, can you make correction to names after CAS or before CAS? You can make correction to learners information either before or after, but you are advised to ensure that such correction is made before the end of the registration, because the moment the registration details is downloaded, such learners information will have been downloaded, and the OMR of such a student will have been printed, and it will not reflect on that OMR. However, if you've effect such even after the OMR is printed and it is approved, it will take effect because your request, when if approved, takes effect globally on the learner's record. Thank you, Adeyemo Taiwo. Deji Opayemi, good afternoon, sir. Can we make a data request for a student that want to change surname, though the student is among the students writing Becker? Well, data update procedure is meant to effect changes in learner's information. However, surname, changes to surname is not acceptable on data updates. The changes acceptable on data updates is typographical error. Cases of typographical error can still be accepted. For example, if the error in the surname is Tajuddin and it is written Tajudon, probably it was written Tajudin. That is still a typographical error. So that can still be affected using that. Thank you. Questions? Going forward in our questions, uh, Mr. Egberombi will be equally doing justice for our questions. Adetola Adebanjo, well done, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, how do we add GS1 student to the portal who is coming from primary school? Well, for learners who is coming from a primary school, as part of the measures we put on the portal, for students that had completed primary school education and needs to move their record to secondary school portal, the primary school needs to do what we call placement of such a student. With placement, the learner will be pushed from primary school to secondary school. It is the same placement that we do whereby learners are being placed from private to public secondary school. So in this case, such a student, taking for example, Afro Primary School, a student who finished from Afro Primary School, it needs to be placed to African Church Private Secondary School. So the primary school only needs to push those students from the primary school portal to the secondary school portal through private school placement. So that's the response to that. Thank you. Students that are yet to be promoted and having LI in the school, how can we promote them to GS3? Well, the measure on the portal, schools have been mandated, have given the procedure at due time to ensure that our learners' information are migrated as expected. So, okay, Tajudeen Ayantola, uh, that's coming from Ijebu Ode. So, for such, sir, such complaints needs to be communicated to the ministry. Measures which we are making use of to address that has been removed because of the abuse being put to practice on the portal. As a result of that, if you find yourself in such a situation, it is because your school failed to carry out such migration at due time. Students that were migrated at due time from last session to the current session were being migrated from term to term by the ministry. So that implies those students were not migrated at due time, and to do that, you have to get them across to the ministry. Thank you, sir. Next question. So that's the response. Tajudeen Ayantola. Bukola writes, good afternoon, sir. What can we do to students who does not have LIN and they are in GS3? Well, for students who do not have LIN and they are in GS3, it is worrisome that it is when the need arises that we enroll our students to the portal. The link request was opened last November, and this has been on till last month before it was withdrawn. However, if you already requested, be rest assured that your request will be granted. if you already requested, though you cannot access that page again, just be checking your portal and you'll be able to see when such a request is granted. Thank you. How do we rectify the arrangement of names in the situation where the surname is at the middle name? This is coming from Adeyinka Oluwabunmi. Yes, we are aware that we have learners' information that were imputed in wrong order. This was done um, taking last name in place of first name. However, the ministry is looking at an approach to address this very soon. In a couple of weeks, our technical team is working on this. You'll be able to effect this at your end. So when this is available, we communicate it to us on the portal as usual through our existing platforms. Thank you, Adeyinka Oluwabunmi. To every one of us who is joining us, I want to appreciate you. Uh, Let it be noted that this session is being recorded and it will be available on our YouTube page as well as on all our social media platforms. You can join us on our social media handles. You can join us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, formerly known as Twitter, now known as X. So if you still have questions, we'll still be here to attend to our question before we call it a day. This is coming from Fayezu Odaolu. Can private school do their result on OGSERA? Well, at several fora that we've had session, we've been having this request, and this was part of what the ministry presented to private schools when we started this digital platform. But this was rejected by private schools. But with the request that I've been having now, the Honorable Commissioner is equally aware of this and measure. I'm glad to tell you that and be confident that this is receiving attention of the ministry, and if granted, it will be made available for the usage of the team in private schools. Thank you. Fayezu Odaolu. Bamidele Adeoye. Please, sir, is it possible to do digital update to correct spelling of both surname and first name, since only one item can be attended to per session? Yes. For student who is having wrong information in their portal, if you can recall, in the year 2022, we made it available for schools to correct at free cost. But surprisingly, it was discovered that rather than correcting wrong information, some schools were engaging in replacing student records, deleting students that were graduated and replacing with the students that were newly admitted, which is totally a wrong practice. And this led to series of reviews that led us to where we are today. So as we speak, you can only effect one information on a learner's data at a time. So if you have any information to be corrected, if you have more than one information to be corrected, you have to communicate to the ministry to first such, or you wait till the next available session before you can correct such information. Thank you. Father Labukola, we have some students that failed last decade but were not able to rewrite. Can such students register now and how? Mr. Agberombe will be doing justice to this.
Thank you very much, Mr. or Mrs. Falola Bukola. According to the BECE outline, if a student failed, automatically that student ought to repeat GSS 3 and write the BECE the following year. So in a situation whereby a candidate failed and you promote that candidate to SS1, such a candidate doesn't have opportunity for BECE certificate of those previous years. So the year that that candidate now register for the BECE exam is the year that that candidate will be qualified for the BECE certificate. So that means in our own portal, that candidate still remain in JSS 3. So he has the right to write the BECE this year, but the certificate will also be this year. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. So that's answer your questions, Father Bukola. Odushola Abigail Adebayo is asking if are we making payment for data update of learners. Well, if you need have cost to correct information on learners, you are required to make payment, and that is done through data updates. Thank you. Elixir Obooks, how do we correct date of birth? Well, correcting date of birth is part of uh, it is captured in the data update. So you can visit our social media handles for videos and demos on how to effect data update on learner's record. Thank you. Yes, Adetola Adebanjo. In a situation whereby the placement is not done by the supposed primary school before coming to secondary school, how do we correct that, sir? Well, we are aware that there are situations whereby learners that completed primary 6 3 years ago that are now in GS3, that their records still reflect primary school. And for the secondary school who have now requested LIN, and that request then was rejected because the student already had LIN. So there's no measure for such a student to move from primary to secondary school to your own portal because now in GS3. So it is important that such be communicated to the ministry, bring the record of such a student with the primary certificate. We check the record to verify, okay, the student completed JSS primary 6 so year, is now in JSS3. This is the JS1 result, this JS2 result is now in JS3. With that assurance, we now move the student's record from primary school to your secondary school portal. So, and while coming to the ministry, you can get a notification from the secondary school where the student have LIN, confirming that the student have existing LIN in that school. So with that, the ministry will move their record from the primary school where they ought to have placed them to your school, or to have placed them to the secondary school, you place them to your own secondary school. Thank you. Modinot or Modadin, how can we communicate with ministry? Well, to communicate with the ministry, there is no phone number of who to call. And as a school, you have the zonal education office closest to you. Get in touch with the zonal education office. That is the representative of the honorable commissioner in your local government. Ogunla Nolukayode, my question is that can we register a learner that came from another state for the present BECE? How do you go about it? Well, students who are taking BECE aspire to be the students whom you have taught in your school. BECE examination is now open for students who are coming. Do you refer to external BECE? So, for students who are bona fide students of your school and are coming from outside the states, such a student can be admitted into your school. We have a measure on the portal, and that is called interstate transfer. students that you are admitting into your school from outside the state. Such a student do not have LIN from their previous school in that state. So they are coming to your school for admission into whatever class from primary 2 to SS2. So we can admit such a student and the system will verify if they have LIN, and if not, their request will be granted. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. It is on this note, please note that this session is recorded and you can access it on the YouTube page as well as our other social media handles. Every of the sessions has been said, the processes required in ensuring we have smooth flow, and note that we equally have an ebook that details the processes of whatever you want to do on OGSERA, in addition to processes of 2025 BECE registration. Follow this gist box and be rest assured that you are going to have a smooth registration. It is on this note that we want to call it a day. Thank you, everyone. Hello.
And a closing remark from my side. I want us to please take note that you don't pay BECE fee in platform fee, and don't pay platform fee on BECE fee. It is not easy, and even I can say almost impossible to reverse. So please let us take caution. I wish us a smooth registration 2025 BECE. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.